right? So neti being not this, not this. Some people do that type of meditation where I was saying that they concentrate upon the formless one, okay, who is holy, who is a spirit, right? And when they do the meditation, they usually refer neti and the mind, refer to neti and the mind. You know, when we get into the habit of neti, not this, not this, you can also discard thoughts of worry, doubt, fear, right? Nous essaie applique neti, malgré que neti has been used for God. God is not this, not this. God is neti. But it is a concept that we can apply in our life. Okay. Donc, for example, we say that we are not supposed to worry. We are not supposed to have doubt, to have fear, to have certain negative qualities, etc. We need to be perfect. So here the neti comes in. We train the mind to be like the ultimate Brahman neti. So that can come in our practice as well, right? Like in our daily life, even in profession, what is to do good, what is the thing to do wrong, okay, the concept of neti. Be capable aussi apply to multiple choice question. Bien, ça fait bien simple, hein? Not this, not this. When you do multiple choice question, you're choosing the correct one. At times, there are two answers qui paraissent same, but actually when you analyze it, the answer is not the same. Both answers are not the same. So you have to choose for the best answer in the multiple choice. That is neti, right? So this is the whole concept of neti, right? Now, let's come to murti. We have that next in our syllabus, murti, right? Murti, as you know, means idol. Donc, of course, Hinduism is one of the religion which believes and practice and is famous for idol worship. So, idol worship, or image worship, whatever you can call that, we need to have a form of God in the form of a statue, in the form of a symbol, in the form of a picture. It can be in that way, and we worship the God there. Now, previously, since Vedic times, there was no idol worship. People were worshiping the formless one. People were worshiping the formless one. That is the God having no form, what we call the Nirgun Brahman. Then with time came that idol worship, worshipping the idols. Now, there are many justifications for that. Why should we do it? There is no justification why we should not do it, idol worship. It depends on us now. It depends on the person. If I do not find it comfortable, ou bien my mind might be so restless that I'm not able to concentrate on the Supreme One, who is formless. So I try another way, and that way is idol worship. Instead of Mopakav concentrate on the formless, so I give up. Instead of giving up, I find another way for that, right? So that can be one justification for that. Right? So it is at times difficult for people to focus the mind on something formless. Donc, il y a une picture where the mind can be focused. The statue ou bien images of God help us to overcome such problems like concentration. They provide us with a starting point in our spiritual journey. And then starting point. We go to temple, we learn things, nous peut faire murti puja, right? Ça, c'est just a start. And later on, we should be able, bien sûr, to give up the worship of the form. We should be able to give up idol worship. Ça, c'est vrai. But initially, in our spiritual journey, idol worship can be helpful to certain people, to some people. Worshipping God in a form convey deeper meaning. It points to difficulties humans have in gaining the attention, Sasian, who is indifferent, essentially stone-like. In many ways, you may consider it a test of your devotion, your faith, and your perseverance. You know, when we have a murti at home, we are in the temple. It's a great responsibility in terms of cleanliness. Normalement, nous faisons murti là, mettre un vêtement. Usually, this should be changed every day. Mais pas tout qui fait libre. Once in a time, bien sûr, nous changer. But it should be changed every day. We should sprinkle water there every day, every morning. So we need time. We need that faith. We need that devotion to do that. Right? So if we are able to invoke God through a lifeless, inert object, it is a proof that you have reached the highest point in your devotion and a spiritual transformation. You know, parfois, il n'est pas aussi facile to accept a stone as God. Even at times when I go to temple, I think about this. Why should we have all these murtis? Finally, we are worshipping the same one. Even at home, we have so many pictures here, but at the end of the day, I think at times, ben, qui fait tout ça là important. We should not be doing this. But at the end, what comes there is this thing, the idol, the statues, has been helpful to me, ou bien to us, to progress spiritually, to be better, right? So, il y a une importance quand même. And one thing which is important, if you can see God in a stone, right, you can see God in everything. That is the point here. You know, people criticize Hindus and Hinduism, sorry, saying that some Hindus, they worship the head of a certain animal, they worship the mountain, they worship the moon, they worship the sun, they worship the tree. Yes, it's true. In Hinduism, people do that. We have rituals like that. In Ajmun, prier soleil le matin. Some they are going to pray the moon. For example, my madam got Karwa Chauth, etc. They pray the moon, right? The point here is doing all this. Enough to people, so that la code noir, tout ça, au pied là, right? The point to do this actually, c'est quoi? Qui fait l'idée, idea behind that is what? To respect every creation of God. That is the basic point. Bien sûr, nous dire comme vous priez soleil, soleil pour éclaircir mon cimé, etc. That is the whole philosophy qui est secondary. But the primary objective here is to be able to respect all the creation of God. That is the point qui fait nous aussi prier the moon, the sun, and all. So if we are able, my point was, if we are able to see God in a stone, in a picture which is lifeless, so we will be able to see God in everything, right? À moins, bien sûr, s'il y a un pure devotion, c'est une peut prier une rose, and pas une rose, bien sûr, but a statue made of stone or something. If there's no proper devotion, this is something else. We are talking about true devotion here. right? So this image worship, this idol worship is a human invention, of course. For what? To cultivate nearness to God. Maybe, I don't know if you have certain murti or certain picture of any god in your house. If you have it, do we do bad actions there in the place where we have those photos? Usually, no. You are going to avoid, right? So it helps us to cultivate goodness, nearness to God. So it helps us to cultivate nearness to God, to earn His mercy, to develop good qualities, right? However, image worship is neither the best nor the only way. We said that earlier. It's not the best way. The best way is always to worship the formless one. If one can do it, so good, right? But we have to reach that point where we can meditate, we can concentrate without an object, without an idol, right? The ultimate purpose of life, the Purushartha, which is moksha, is to find God. For that, one has to go beyond name and form. That's what we are saying. At a point of time, we have to stop this idol worship, to go beyond that idol worship, where we don't need that image, that object to pray, to connect it to God. We have to go beyond names and forms. Quand nous donne God the name Vishnu, Shiv, Durga, whatever name, whichever name, is God really that? No. Neti, neti, as we say. No, this, not this. God is far beyond that. God is beyond all names, all forms. He is greater than all. But it's true. It's true that when we have the image of God, our mind is not disturbed, and we can perform the ritual, the work properly. Right? Now, we may worship the images of God, but shall not become attached to the forms such images present. I'll give you one example of Krishna. When Krishna was in Gokul, he then left, he went to Mathura, where he killed his uncle. When he went there in Mathura, the gopis, the girls, the gopis in Gokul, they were in pain of separation, right? They could not, they did not agree that Krishna should go. They did not like that Krishna went to Mathura, leaving them alone. Donc, qu'arrivait là à ce point-là? Krishna was the deity. Everyone was worshipping them. So good. Yeah. But when he left, the people there, they were in pain. They were in pain. They were suffering. That is the point here. Right? So when Krishna left, je pas supposément in a pain, in a suffering because of the departure of Krishna. That is here the point where it says that we should not be attached to the form of that God. The forms are temporary than form of God. For example, Ram came on earth. Did God stay in that form of Ram for long or for eternity? No. He left that form. So every form is temporary, even the form of God is temporary. That is why, for example, for Ganesh Chaturthi, we go and immerse the idol in the water because we can't keep that forever in the house. No, Mama, godly forever. Some people couldn't faire puja and not to ban photo, murti, etc. Right? But That is the reason we do immersion. Quand on fait visurgence, nous fait mortila aller dans des l'eau. Parce que les temporary, right? We cannot escape from duality in this world. Even gods cannot escape from it. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Lord Krishna, has described Brahman in the first person as himself, as well as in the second person as other than himself. So the first person, I, Krishna, where he says, I am God, and the second person as well. Right? Sisaki Nuja, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. Right? So when he said that those who worship gods went to gods and those who worship him came to him alone, he was not suggesting that people should worship him but Brahman. When he was talking about himself, people should be worshipping him. You have down the Bhagavad Gita, you remember maybe, where we talked about the worship of gods like Indra, Varun, and the worship of the Supreme One, right? So when he was talking about that, when he was saying we should worship me like Krishna, right? So he was actually saying we should worship the Brahman, who is the highest goal, right? The formless one. Image worship must lead to inwardness. Comme si nous sommes capables dans nous, inner self, right? We can reflect upon oneself, withdrawal and absorption of the mind in the contemplation of the self. Through idol worship, through image worship, nous sommes capables absorb the mind. The mind should be able to focus, to contemplate. If it is not, then there is a problem. Parce qu'il nous peut servir idole là pour ça même, for concentration. If there is no concentration, then there must be a problem. A problem of what? We are not able to control the mind. The problem might be our temptations, right? You may worship the images of God to obtain favors from him. Our difficulties and all, right? But you must know that the worship of God, images of God, does not free you from your karma or your bondage. Qu'est-ce qui fait free you from karma or bondage? C'est nos actions seulement. Yes, God gives us his grace. There's no doubt in it. He blesses us. He gives us his grace. Mais il pas efface nos karma. He cannot do that. When you pray to a particular image of God, let's say you are praying to Saraswati. Qui fait à nous prier Saraswati? For knowledge. There is a specific reason to obtain some favor. Why are we worshipping Kartikeya? Maybe because he is the remover of diseases. For a specific reason, right? Now, however, you must know that it does not free you from your karma or bondage. For that, your worship must evolve into a sacred sacrifice. New worship lives evolve within a sacrifice. What is that sacrifice? Here, sacrifice is not fire sacrifice. We are doing swaha every time. No. The sacrifice is what? The karma that we are doing. I'm not denying qu'il nous besoin faire fire sacrifice. Hein? Loin de là. We have to do it. It is our duty. Yes, okay. But more important thing is quand nous faire fire sacrifice, we are burning those things, no? The sticks, wooden sticks, the ingredients and all, we are burning that. Likewise, we have to burn our bad qualities as well, right? So our actions actually be more important than everything else. If you want to suppress mental modification and experience peace and equanimity, you must withdraw your mind from all forms of objects and turn to God within. At times we say, no, bon Dieu dans nous. God is within us. So, mental modification. Mental modification is un changement mental. Changement mental in the sense, pas oublier nos three gunas. At times you have sattva gun predominating, at times rajasic predominating, at times tamas predominating. L'esprit aussi changer at that time, no? So that is why we say we should do prayers early morning. We should be studying early morning, which is very good. At that time, we have lots of sattva down. So mental modification happening every time, right? So we must withdraw the mind from all forms and objects if we want to suppress mental modification. Si nous, on vit comme si nos mind arrête ce sauter, arrête et na tout bancaire pensée and all. Right? But we will have lots of reasons for and against idol worship. Of course, as I told you earlier, it's up to the person, right? For importance of prayers, I have put a note here. It's not in your syllabus, but of course it is interlinked. Linked avec idol worship. Parce qu'il nous fait prayer, non? Quand nous fait idol worship. So when we talk about prayers, what are the types of prayers? Nous fait yajna, fire sacrifice. Nous in ban mantras, summons, ban swami, because it recite ban mantra. Nous capable de shlok ou bien stotra. We have bhajan, kirtan, pratana, tout ça. These are the few forms that we actually use for as in terms of prayers. So in Hinduism, we use prayers to invoke God or various supernatural powers as well, right? The Vedic hymns, to man verses, Kinuina, the Vedas, no man Vedic hymns, they are known to be the most powerful prayers known to mankind. Recite ban mantras of Veda, you create a very high frequency vibration. That's why it says recitation of Veda can help in health, can help in purifying the atmosphere, bringing luck, abundance of wealth, tout ça, it happen through these mantras. Maintenant, quand on fait la recitation, bien sûr, proper recitation. There's always a proper way to recite mantras from the Veda. Pas juste lire like that. So the mantras, the prayers, they are believed to have magical powers. Okay. At times, what cannot heal you, medicine cannot heal you, but at times prayers can heal. I'm talking about prayers and not black magic, anything, purely prayers. In Hindu prayers, the content of the prayer as well as the sounds involved are very important. The way you pronounce it, it's in Sanskrit always, the way we pronounce it is bien important. Parce que mispronunciation leads to bad effect. So we need to correctly pronounce the word. That's why we say if we can't pronounce it on YouTube, we have many things. Could man prayers right now on YouTube. You can play that, no? The prayers extol the virtues, potencies of various gods and goddesses in order to seek favors from them. Quand nous pouvons prier, nous pouvons dire sa mantra-là. We are asking for help. We are asking for their blessings, for their favors, right? The mantras, Vedic mantras, are often chanted in public ceremonies loudly. It depends on us, no? We want to chant loudly, or we want to keep it secret, tranquille, mantra. It's all up to us. But the best way is to chant loudly. Not loudly to disturb people, but loud enough, right? That is the best way to create more vibration. Traditional Hindus offer prayers to God in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. Right? We usually, Bansaki, the Bhakti tradition, like those who are in ISKCON, for example, they practice singing, dancing as well, which is definitely a form of prayer. Right? Ou bien Nam Jap, taking the name of God. Right? Now, let's move to this one, Ishvara. Ishwar means to say a name, a term used to say God. Ishwar means God. Ou bien supreme being, ou bien personal God. Right? Donc, le mot ish veut dire capable of. Si nous casse le mot ishwara, ish capable of, ou bien a ruler, a knower, sorry, owner. God is the owner. God is capable of everything. And Shwara means the best, someone who is excellent. It can mean Vara, can also mean blessing, boon to some. No, God is the one who gives us blessing and boon. So this is Ishwara. The term Ishwara, how it is defined. This meaning here is from Wikipedia, right? How it is described. Now, the word Ishwar does not appear in the Rig Veda. However, there is mention of the word Ish in certain verses, in the verses of the Veda. Bina le mot complete as Ishwara, but there is Ish, right? Donc, we usually say it refer to the same thing, Ish, Ishwara. Patrick Olivelle, who was a scholar of Sanskrit literature, he says that Ishwar does not mean God, but means Vedas. Oh, quelque part, pour moi, you mean God, ma'am. Vedas is the knowledge of God, right? Given by God. Donc, police point of view is Ishwara means Vedas, not God. Now, the Hindu philosophy has different school of thoughts like Samkhya, Yoga, Advaita, Vedanta, Charvak, right? That's it. We have more, of course, but let's see what Samkhya has to say about Ishvara, right? Samkhya is a system in the Hindu philosophy.